Mixing. Stressful, right?
It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
The final Two Guys and a Goalie edition prior to the Stanley Cup Finals. It's a Two Mats and a Goalie edition presented by GS Construction, who's setting the industry standard for 50 years with quality, efficiency, safety driving their success. GS Construction, they have a foundation built on teamwork, and now they want you to become part of the team. Visit gsconstruction.ca, click Ready to Work, or visit their page at indeed.ca. Their Next Person Up program at GS Construction. It's not just a job, it is a career. We're live on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, on TuneIn, on iHeartRadio, as well as those watching on YouTube. Matt Iwanyk, Joaquin Gage in studio at the Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen studio. Matt Kassian at his home office with a fresh cut, ready to go for the Cup Final. Just a quick reminder: GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show tomorrow. It's a wild one. We've got Trev, we've got Sean Bell, we've got Kassian, we've got Zach to come all ready to go for the pregame show. Tommy will be doing postgame show. It's a busy day on Saturdays. I've got Elks pre and post with Jay Milne at Century Casino.
Busy. You guys are, yeah.
Well, it's the pregame show for Elks will be on all of our streams.
Yeah.
Oilers pre and post for us will be on all of our streams. Postgame for the Elks, because of the GCL Diesel Oil Stream game, pregame show will be on. We will just be on YouTube for the recapping Elks Riders. But a busy time.
Wow.
Boys, how you feeling in advance of the 2 days away from the Cup Final? You feeling that anticipation, or is it a little like, let's just get here, let's get going?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Go
to
ahead,
get going.
guys. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm ready to get going, and I actually got a funny story for you guys from my day today. So I was walking outside, and I heard something, and there was this cat up in a tree. And it was like 40 feet up, and there was a little girl, and she was crying about her kitty being stuck in a tree. And so I climbed the tree about 40 to 50 feet in the air. The cat climbed onto my back, and I climbed down and saved it. So just thought I'd share that. I'm a hero.
Yeah, you are, because the cat I saved, Cass, died. So thanks for bringing that up. And there's a cat, like everywhere I look, there's a cat now.
Well, you're drinking an Alley Cat 6 o'clock or lager.
I didn't know they had the actual logo on there.
It's Alley Cat.
It was a black. I saved a black cat. I don't know. I feel like I should have went to the Pet Cemetery. You ever seen that movie Pet Cemetery? That's all I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah. Sorry, dude. I don't know.
Did you know the ending of that, by the way, Cass, when you went there?
No, I didn't. I didn't get to hear the ending. He sent us the beginning of it this morning.
Yeah.
And I was tied up in meetings, so I couldn't listen. Like I was unable to listen to this show today. Usually I have it on, but I was talking to people, so I couldn't have it in the background. So I didn't hear the ending of it. So
that's the thing. When he's telling us in the hangout, like the way he's talking, like we didn't know any of the ending over, and then all of a sudden he goes, "Yeah," and the cat died, and the room was quiet. We didn't know where to go because none of us were expecting that ending actually in the end.
Crushed spirits. I love it.
I know, it's like, how do we continue with the hangout here?
It was awful because I thought, I go, "Hang on, little buddy," and it was kind of meowing and it wasn't a meow. It was a scream of agony a few times from the cat in the back of my car, and I had her in the way back on a blanket, and then pulled into the. This is for you, Cass. I pulled into the emergency and went to the back of my car, and it was looking right at me, and I kind of felt like Cousin Eddie at the time. I go, well, that's those 9 lives are all used up. and then went inside, and the girl that I talked to on the phone, "Oh, you're the guy with the cat. Well, I'll bring it on." And I'm like, "Yeah, there's no real rush on that, I think." He goes, "Okay, well, go grab it." And then,
too bad.
Yeah, it was too bad because the other thing I don't think you heard was there was another guy with me. And so he put it on the Terwilliger Facebook page or something, and someone reached out. And she goes, "Oh, my God, I think that's my cat. It's been missing since last August." So this thing's just been a battler for almost a year outside, and unfortunately hit its demise in about, as you mentioned, it was a good, I wouldn't say 40, a good 22 feet up. I would say it was in that
that's crazy.
aspen columnar.
Yeah. And you know what? And you know what? Like that actually makes me feel better that it's a cat that's been missing for a while. Like, and that it wasn't like like the little girl standing at the bottom of the tree, and then you rescue the cat, and then it goes. So that's tough. But you know what, Gager, and truly, and I'm not jesting in this. Good for you for helping out. For being a stand-up guy, that's a good thing. It's a good thing you did. You tried. You did your best. So
no, it was. I didn't know. Like we were standing there with the guy. Goes, do we phone the fire department? Is this actually? The old adage, save cats from just stuck in trees. Yeah. I go, do they really do that? So
just straight to Chris. Don't even dial 911. Just call Chris Joseph or Mark Fistrick and be like, boys.
I know. Yeah,
I know this isn't your area of the city. Get here now.
Oh God, yeah.
I got something I want to say, but I'm gonna have to save those for off the air.
All right.
Mark saying, I see Maddie's wearing Panthers colors. I see where your allegiance is. This is Canada, baby.
Yeah.
This is
Canada. This is Canada. Netherlands today, 12:45. So in the last 15 minutes of the show, I won't be focused too much. I just throw that out there. But no, it's all Canada. You could even relate this. There's only one Canadian team left. If you want to go that way, so this is all Canada. Alphonso Davies, number 19. Let's go. How do you think the Oilers are feeling right now? Like even the Panthers. Like, is this a?
Oh, you got to be ready to go.
Yeah, is it
break?
Is it exciting, or is there a point where like you're just so restless that it could impact you?
Well, both teams are dealing with it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like for both teams, I guess.
Yeah, I would be anxious. Like I want to get things going. I think it's almost Super Bowl-esque with this kind of almost week off in between. Like I'm sure both teams are tired about talking about it and the subtleties in the media of saying certain things. This guy said this reporter said this about this player. How are you going to handle the different things that the other team does well at certain points, whatever it is? I'm sure they just want to get going.
Oh yeah, I think so. But both teams are dealing with the restlessness. Like, imagine how restless we're feeling. Actually, I'm okay because feel like I'm in recovery mode, and there's been a bunch of life happening, and so I'm like I'm okay with the break. I can have some other stuff that needs to get accomplished and dealt with over the period of time before the series starts. But for most of us, it's like we're feeling restless. Like, and I am ready. I'm just like, okay, enough break, and players will be too. Where I'm sure everyone after about day 2, day 3 was like, all right, like let's go. Like everyone's so antsy, so excited to get after it that they're ready, tired of doing interviews, tired of speaking with the Edmonton meet like us, and just ready to go.
It's Brian Meyer from Whale and the Wolf. He tweeted a couple days ago, is everyone else in Edmonton getting a lot of chores done this week? Like, it is kind of like the perfect week to just for everyone's like, okay, what haven't I done over the last 6 weeks? Also, what am I potentially going to miss over the next 2 weeks or so that I should just get done this week to make sure I'm good to go? So it's been
what's
nice.
number one? What's number one in your case to get ready for the next couple of weeks? Have you been able to finish anything?
I'm not gonna. I'm not only just having to get ready for the next couple of weeks. I'm also leaving the country for a couple of days in June, like to go see Canada and Argentina at Copa.
Really?
So I'm preparing to get like everything here sorted out with that. And I am so behind on those things. And Dusty not being here is not helping me.
Not helping at all.
But really, it's golf tournament stuff still. That's the stuff I need to really lock in and get done, and I'm trying to get done this week, which also now reminds me, Cass, I texted you yesterday. You didn't text me back.
I know. I'm sorry. It was a busy day. I actually thought of that when we're getting on. I'm like, I hope Dusty's back. I don't think he is, because then I don't have to.
Well, no, this is perfect. What's your shirt size?
It depends on the shirt. Like, what are we, like golf shirt? Golf shirt?
Yeah, golf polo. I'm looking at TMs. Travis Matthews.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Tommy
says they
either an XL or double X.
Tommy says they generally go a little tighter. Travis Matthews.
Yeah, so probably go double X.
Thank you.
Yeah, go double X.
Let's ask
I'm marking
Mandy
that down.
Maybe Amandi'd like an XL, maybe even a large, Cass.
Extra medium.
No, this worked out perfect because now I got that figured out. So there's my chores
she's
getting
fit
done
right now. Yeah, she is fit right now. She actually texted me today. She's upstairs, not listening. And the only time she listens is when, like, if she turns it on and there's something to complain about, and she'll post as me in the nasty chat, as some of you have seen. So it looks like I'm commenting on myself. But
does she go all caps too?
No, she probably won't.
So that's how we'll be able to know the difference.
That'll be the tell. But she hit her personal PR squats today. That's so she did. She in pre-baby. She was like, yeah, I beat my pre-baby PR on squats. So she's ripped right now. I'm not. Probably need to follow her lead. So
That's what summer's for.
What have you guys needed to get done this week besides trying to save cats?
Oh, there's work stuff around the house. My son wanted his room repainted. Not that I do anything with that. My wife is constantly doing. I'm just kind of in support mode, getting the Sanders things like that, and then kind of preparing the basement a little bit more. There's people coming over, so it seems like it's adding up. I still have to finish. I watched a game outside on my patio, and it was glorious.
It's the best.
I in my little gazebo that I have, and I was sitting on the couch, had a little Bluetooth speaker hooked up with my laptop, and just kind of watched. It was
And just
great.
bring the TV. Get the wireless box. Bring the box out. Bring a TV outside.
I don't
set it
feel
up.
it. The monitor screen. I'm close enough where it's just fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
I could
you
bring
guys
the
know what
TV
I-
out, but yeah.
What was that?
yeah. No, I got going on. So we have some family stuff going on that we're trying to help deal with. So there's been some busyness with that. I actually got to do some painting as well. I had to patch. We had to do some furnace upgrade things. And so, yeah, not fun. But there was a couple holes in the wall from the old panel thing that we had to get replaced. And so so I'm just busy patching all that. So I've been working on that. I'll finish it. It's kind of been hanging there for the last week. But actually, Gager, speaking of patios, so if I've had scheduled for a long time, this is my my annual guys cabin weekend this weekend. So I'll be doing. We'll see. I might have to get someone to fill for the Saturday night, but I'll do pregame show. But I'm going to be doing it from the cabin. And since we've had it booked for so long, one of the guys has a projector and a big screen.
Ooh, yeah.
So we're going to have it, weather permitting. We will be outside on the deck down by the beach, just with the game up, which will be awesome. About 10 guys there, so it'll be fun. Probably, I don't even know what they'll try to get on the video. I'm sure pregame show people won't leave me alone. But
Do you have the screen already?
yeah,
Oh, do you? Okay.
Hopefully,
he's got the screen.
hopefully you're a little distance away from Edmonton because forecast right now for Saturday has changed immensely.
Has it?
As of right
I
now,
looked.
it's 11 degrees high, 60% chance of showers.
No.
Which is not good for
good.
the
I'll have
Elks.
to
That's
look.
not good for the Riverhawks, and it's not good for the
No.
Moss Pit for day. And,
No.
and just an omen, maybe a little bit for game one. Maybe that changes. The weatherman, Josh Clausen's on the hangout tomorrow, so I'll grill him.
we can
and
blame
go.
him.
Make him make it change.
I'll grill
make
because-
him make it change.
Oh, there's that. Also, we got to figure. Cass, just quick question. How would you classify the wind? Is it windy outside? How like?
It was not as much today. Why?
Well, apparently Trev, and I think he's looking right now, doesn't think this is windy. He
been really
classifies
windy.
that this isn't windy. He's walking in right now.
It's not windy.
Yeah, he says it's not windy.
I don't know.
This is nothing. This is absolutely nothing.
Because where he comes from in Pincher Creek, it gets worse and all that. So he says for anyone to say that in Edmonton right now, where it's 21 with gusts of 34, this isn't windy. We're not allowed to call this windy.
It's not. Good. You wouldn't survive in Lethbridge for one day, Matty.
I went surprise in Lethbridge for one day. I'm surviving here. I'll be fine. I just don't like the wind.
Well,
Mine would change in one day. I guarantee.
He thinks that we. So what is this? Is this a breeze?
This is a breeze. It
This
was
is a
90
breeze.
It was 90 kilometers.
Do you agree with that, Cass?
90 kilometers.
I think it's windy.
Okay.
Sorry,
it's
Trev.
look. Apple says
Don't trust that one.
it says windy.
Oh, that part. I thought you were doing it for the forecast and stuff.
No, it says windy.
Don't bring that up to like Murray.
I know he
Hates
hates
that
this. He hates this one.
Well, it's windy. Like I'm sorry. It's when you're gusting 34 kilometers an hour, that's windy.
Well, Cass, you got kids. Do you ever take the kids flying a kite ever?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
so-
they usually get them stuck in trees and stuff. But
Yeah, I mean, you don't take them out when it's breezy. You take it out when it's windy. And right now, it's a good, it's great kite flying weather out there.
It's like saying if we have a few centimeters of snow, it's just a little. It's nothing.
Yeah.
dusting.
Well, right. But it's okay. Well, I got to go shovel or something. That's snow. Just because It could there's a blizzard sometimes somewhere else that only a blizzard counts as a snowfall. According to Trev, only has to be like cars flipping over because of the wind. That's the only time you could call it windy.
We should try to get in contact with Corey Cross because he's from Lloyd, and it's windy in Lloyd. Like it seems like there's always.
Was it Trev windy?
That's what I mean. So maybe
breezy.
He's got a new nickname, Cool Breeze, out there with. YTT.
We're going to qualify someone in a bit for the $100,000 hole-in-one contest presented by Golf Town. We also qualify for Great Outdoors Comedy Festival. We will dive into a lot when it comes to this series right away here. But there was a text that came in the Hangout that I want to bring up here. It's a conundrum that listener Jasmine has. She texted in to the Paris Jewelers inbox, 780-218-9999. And I'm going to throw it out here now and as well to all of our nasties listening. Here's the question Jasmine has. If you had 2 tickets to a Stanley Cup game, would you take your spouse, girlfriend, who isn't a huge Oilers fan but likes them, or your sibling or best friend that is a huge Oiler fan? She adds, I want my brother to take me over his wife. If you had a ticket to this game, and your significant other, maybe not, I don't know your significant other, how much they're into the Oilers, but if they're not fully into the Oilers, would you take them? Or would you look to take a diehard with you? Cass?
Oh, this is a conundrum. And the moral conundrum here is like I probably would want to take the diehard. Like I would probably take my brother or take my dad. Older brother or my dad would be my, like who I'd want to take. But my wife I know would want to go. So that's a pickle. Pretty hard because spouse trumps. Like if they really want to go, she's probably going. So it depends on the level of that. Like I think you have to have that conversation. Like does the spouse really, really, really want to go or not? So it's like I feel like we need more information. I probably would lean to. I mean, happy wife and all that. I'd probably take my wife, but I'd be feeling strongly. I might make a case and be like, hey, like
you try to underplay it. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you want to? Everyone's going to be standing probably the whole game.
Yeah.
It's going to be like
just yeah.
Dude, it's going to be busy. It's going to be really hard to
get out of parking.
It's going to be really hard to get in and out. Do you want to come? You know, like undersell the experience. But then you also just a heads up if you do that and you get away with it when you get home and how was the game? I'm happy with the score if they win or whatever, but it is all right. Gager, how would you?
Jen brings up a good point. Jen brings up a good point in the nasty chat. It says, like, if you're married, take your spouse, or it's like if it's a long-term relationship, like if you've been in the relationship for a long time, take your spouse or the significant other. If not, take the family or the friend.
Gager?
Initially, my first avenue I'd go to is if I had a client that was on the fence of coming over to me, and I think that might seal the deal. That's for work.
This will seal the deal.
And that one I think you can sell that to your wife.
Yeah,
this is business, honey.
Yeah, this is sealing the deal with some business. So any of my potential clients that are on the fence of joining or moving over to me, that's where my mind goes first. Then I'm slow playing it to my wife. My wife, she likes going, but she likes to, the fact that we can hang out. There'd be people that we know and say hi. It's more of a social gathering. But I would feel better taking the diehard. That would fill my heart more because they would appreciate it the most. I think.
How much does pricing play into this? Because look, my brain's going two ways with this. So there's one, if you're a season ticket holder, you're getting the price at. It's still expensive, but market value, whatever that might be. It's not the thousands upon thousands. Is that easier to not bring your spouse and bring your diehard, or is that where I didn't spend as much, I'll bring my wife or significant other, and then flip? If you're expending the money, the thousands, do you not then have to bring your significant other because you're spending all that money to go? Or is that where I'm spending so much, somebody really should want to be fully invested in this if I'm dropping $2,000 on this game? Does the pricing that you pay impact the decision here of whether you have to bring your significant other or could try to get the diehard?
If I'm dropping the money, I'm looking to recoup the losses, and I'm taking the potential client. That's it.
Business expense.
Yeah.
Look, I don't have a relation. I'm not in a relationship, so I have no answer. I would say try to go for the diehard, but what the hell do I know?
Yeah, I think it's hard not to get wrapped up in the whole, cheering of everything.
So she does have center ice upper row 7, 825 face value.
Jesus, 825.
Now it is the sister. Does family play into this?
It depends on the brother's wife. Is she a hockey fan? I think
according to Jasmine, which she might be just biased in all this, isn't a huge Oiler fan.
Well,
so
Jasmine is a little psycho, though. I'm kidding, Jasmine. No, it's hard to measure one's love and affection for their sporting team. Some people like the same team, but some people like it maybe just are more involved with the team. I mean, if she's not a hockey fan at all, then I could make the case. But
as a diehard sports fan, again, not in a relationship, so take that for what it is. I would want to bring the diehard because we're in it. It's. I'm sorry, Tommy. Deal with this, but we are in this together with the team.
Yeah,
and we need to be there for the team, and we need to support this team, and we need to be loud for this team. So I need someone who's coming with me, who's going to match my level with that, and bring it for that team. And if I have a significant other that's only a partial fan, and they're not going to bring that, it's going to be. I'm sorry, but I need it. This is for the team. This is for the cup. This isn't the conference finals anymore. This isn't the first round. This isn't November 6th against Arizona, now Utah. This is for the cup. We all have to be all in. And if you're not going to be all in with me, I got to bring someone who's all in.
There's an easy way to measure it. If you've watched the game together and the Oilers have scored, who cheers? Does the person just sit there and keep watching, or does it get them out of their seat? The person that gets out of their seat, that's who you want to go to the game with.
She watches sports because of the brother, the other one, the wife. Not a real fan. Also, Gage, glad you noticed I'm a psycho, so she picked up on that. This is Two Guys and a Goalie, presented by GS Construction here on Edmonton Sports Talk, edmontonsportstalk.com. Tune in, and as well as those watching on YouTube. I think I missed iHeartRadio in there. We'll get to hire it or fire it in a bit. But a question I want to throw you guys going into this series is... And Overshog, I think, talked about it on TSN yesterday a little bit. But I've seen on Twitter from certain members of the Oilers fan base that Ken Holland doesn't deserve as much credit for this, that the Oilers have gone there kind of in spite of Ken Holland, that he hasn't gone all in with this team always, in some of the deadlines, maybe didn't go all out for things. For you two, how much credit does Ken Holland get for the fact that the Oilers are in the Stanley Cup Final right now? Cass?
A lot. A lot. Mattias Ekholm. Right? Brett Kulak. Look at the depth players he's brought in who have been very good. And yes, have there been missteps along the way? Yeah, there's been missteps. Not everything he has done has been perfect. But I just don't see how you cannot give him credit. Coaching, figured out that. Yeah, I don't know how you can't give him credit for the guys that he's brought in. This is not the same roster as when he inherited, so it's not like he hasn't done anything to get them to this point. So I'm giving him lots of credit. I don't think you can take away credit from Ken Holland. Now, has he had the benefit of having Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid? For sure, absolutely. But he has brought in players that have made a difference. And Mattias Ekholm's the biggest one. Talk about going all in at the deadline. That was a spectacular trade. To bring in Mattias Ekholm, stabilize the left side of the defense, allowed Evan Bouchard to grow and develop and to turn into the player that we're seeing right now, having a incredibly amazing playoff run so far. Like not everything he's done, but so much of what he has done has worked and has got them to this point. I mean, they don't get to this point without those moves. So Zach Hyman, as V-Power is in the nasty chat with, another one. So yes, he has made some very, very good moves that have got them to this point. He deserves a lot of credit.
Every GM, they're on the pursuit of happiness, and they know that everything that shines ain't always going to be gold, but they'll be, with Ken Holland, they'll be fine when he gets it, and he'll be good, as Kid Cudi he says in that song. But he's been hitting it out of the park. I get in arguments with people about Ken Holland. Like, yeah, every GM makes a misstep, but how can you argue that what he's been able to, the team that he's been able to put together, and I'm looking over the last 3 seasons, they've lost to the eventual Stanley Cup champion, and they weren't quite ready. You still learn. I'm sure Ken Holland has learned more about this team in the last couple seasons than he did throughout his whole tenure, right? Okay, we need to adjust this. We need to adjust that. What's makes a team successful in the NHL? He's provided the pieces for his superstars to succeed. That's how I look at it. Everyone looks at kind of the blemishes. The Jack Campbell didn't work out. Yes. But when you look back at that move, it made sense. Like, I don't think there were too many people, maybe aside from people in Toronto, not thinking he was the solution. But
I was on the free agency there at 1260 then, and everyone was loving that move.
I liked it, but I liked the fact that Stuart Skinner was behind him too. I thought that it wasn't just going to be Jack Campbell. There was going to be some sort of platoon system. Skinner has become, what's really scary is this kid's only 2 years in. This Stuart Skinner is going to be talked about in Vezina voting on a consistent basis in a few years over a period of time for sure.
I've always felt that if you blame someone for something, they also then deserve the credit when the good things happen. And that I understand the criticism of Ken Holland, and I do get why some fans sit there and be like, this is, the whitewashing of Ken Holland has begun, and the failures of him are going to be overlooked. But, he came here to try to, as he said in his opening press conference, was to build a team that's a consistent winner and is not just had one good year and then drops off. And you mentioned Gage lost to the Cup champs the last 2 years. Well, it's either going to be 3 years they lost to the Cup champs or they're going to be the Cup champs, right? Like, either way, that's a pretty, the only team that has been able to knock off the Edmonton Oilers the last 3 seasons, if they get knocked off, which, again, this year we'll find out, was the team that ultimately hoisted the Cup. Yeah. So you could, they are one of the best teams in all of hockey, and how do you get there without some of those moves that Ken Holland had made? Now, I'll always go low tide back at 12, always talked about how there'd be some people that, if the Oilers ever win the Cup, would all be, well, should have won more. And they'll just never be happy with that. And I hope that goes away. And if the Oilers do win this Cup, they could enjoy that moment. Because Ken Holland was brought in to build a Cup contender and a Cup win. And I'll never believe that a GM, it's just a guarantee to go win a Cup. It's hard to go do that.
No.
And to be in the conference.
So much has to go right.
Right. And to be in the conference finals 2 out of the last 3 years. This year, finally, to get a Cup finals. If we did this show back in September and said, what's the goal for the Oilers this year? What's the minimum bar? I think a lot of people said maybe conference finals, maybe it's getting to the Cup finals. But it's no one is going to say it has to be Cup because there's no guarantee that you could get there. And they're in the spot that 30 other teams would love to be in. 30 other teams would love to be in the exact same spot where the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers are, which is a shot at the Cup and only being 4 wins away. Yeah. And Ken Holland's, I'll say it's, he was a fine general manager for the Edmonton Oilers. Yeah. Worst case, he was a fine general manager. I won't sit here and say he was the greatest ever or anything like that. That they go in a Cup, it changes the rankings a little bit here. But the failures of last year against Vegas, what was the failures? They would say goaltending. Well, if you did something different, you might not have Stuart Skinner right now. Yeah. And we don't know what the future is going to look like with Stuart Skinner as the starting goalie of this team. What if this team goes, and Ken Holland probably gone after this year, but goes and is in the Cup final again next year and 2 years from now? Well, part of that comes from the failure of last year and what happened this year to get there. And is that not Ken Holland deserving credit for that then?
Yeah, I don't think even winning doesn't whitewash the mistakes that were made. It doesn't make them go away, but I guess it makes it more palpable, where you're like, okay, in spite of the mistakes made, they made enough right decisions to have the opportunity to win a Cup and hopefully win a Cup here. And, if they do win, which I hope they do, and I guess we got to do predictions today, so we'll get to that. Or I guess Maddie won't. Me and Joaquin might have to. Yeah,
I'll have my prediction,
but
of some sort.
Of
some sort. Of some sort.
Yeah, it's cryptic, man. But yeah, I mean, you have to give him credit. You have to give him credit. Again, like the big moves that have worked out. Now, the Jack Campbell, and I agree with you to an extent. You might not have Stuart Skinner, might not be the same situation if he went a different direction, but that was a misstep where it's like, okay, if you would have known, and hindsight is 2020, as the cliche goes, like if you would have known, you would have spent that money elsewhere and brought in somebody that could have been different than Jack Campbell and maybe had more success and stability than him. But yeah, I mean,
let's say I'm big on the butterfly. I'm big on the butterfly effect, and as much as Dallas Eakins was an awful coach for this team, if Dallas Eakins doesn't come to this team, there's no Connor McDavid in my mind. Like everything that happens,
What a silver lining guy you are.
well, that's this is how I look at it. Look, if the moment Connor McDavid came to this team, I did the whole everything was great the last few years. Chris Pronger doesn't ask for a trade in 06. It doesn't all lead to Connor McDavid. Everything led to Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. So I actually thank those guys for allowing us to watch that in person.
That's
I think a lot of fans would disagree with you.
Thank you, Dallas.
But it's one where it's like last year, okay, if they'd done something different at the deadline to improve the goaltending and not go with Stuart Skinner, if who knows what would have happened going into this year. And look, the goal this year was cup. Leon said cup or bust. And that's still available for this team. So we'll see how that plays out. We'll get to hire it or fire it right away here, but let's get to our qualifying word for the $100,000 hole-in-one, which is presented by Golf Town. Father's Day deals on now, including deals on TaylorMade Save Big with TaylorMade in-store online now through June 9th. TaylorMade Sim2 driver only $330, 25% off TaylorMade bags, much, much more. For more details, visit them in-store or golftown.com. This Father's Day, give the gift of golf your ultimate destination for Father's Day. 780-218-9999. Text Phil to 780-218-9999 as in Phil Mickelson. Text that in right now and you'll go into a draw to be the qualifier today, or last qualifier for today, for the $100,000 hole-in-one contest, which is presented by Golf Town, that will take place at the Ranch Golf and Country Club July 3rd on the 17th hole, 180 yards out. Let's get to Hire It or Fire It, presented by GS Construction. GS Construction, now hiring. Become a part of their great team today. Visit gsconstruction.ca, their page on Indeed. For the past 50 years, the foundation of GS Construction has been built on efficiency, quality, and safety. Take your career to the next level. Join the team at GS Construction. I did this with you guys, I think, last week or something like that, and I'm doing the cop-out again with the Hire It or Fire It, but this is how we're going to preview this series in a sense, and I will start with, you'll see the trend, you'll know it right off the bat. We'll look at the forwards of the Panthers and the Oilers. Hire It or Fire It, the Oilers have a better group of forwards than the Florida Panthers. Cass?
I got to hire it. I think you have solid depth, as we've seen. You have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. So advantage Oilers.
Yeah, I hire it too. I was actually a little bit disappointed when Draisaitl initially said, I think I said this before, that he said our best beats their best. But
Why are you upset by that?
I thought it might give the bulletin board stuff, but when you really look at it, it doesn't. If you go through the whole, like if we're just looking at the forward groups, and we look at every forward of the Oilers and the Panthers, if they're all playing at their best, you cannot. The Oilers have two guys on their team that if they're playing at their best, it puts them over the edge.
Did the Stars have better forward depth than the Panthers if you're looking at it? Like the Oilers coming through a series where maybe they actually went through a team that had the better depth and that sets them up in a nicer spot going into this series?
Or is it just
too hard to compare
different.
Yeah?
It's different depth. Like the Dallas Stars' fourth line was. I don't think the Oilers' fourth line got enough credit of the amount of important minutes that they can play. Throughout the first two series, Dallas Stars' fourth line they gave the team good minutes, and I think there's a distinct advantage for the Edmonton Oilers going up against that fourth line of the Panthers. I think Oilers definitely have an advantage of what they can do at that position.
Defensively, Edmonton Oilers are better defensively than the Florida Panthers. Hire it or fire it. We'll do goalies next, so Cass, I'll start with you again.
Oh, come on.
Well, I'll get him to start with goalies.
Yeah, you start. You do goalies. Well,
I'll let he'll take the next two. He'll take the next two. Don't worry.
Yeah, he'll take the next two. Man, this is, and I have to pick one or the other. I can't say neutral. I would say advantage, slight advantage, Florida.
So fire it.
Slight advantage, Florida. So fire it. Yeah.
Hey, who's got the? Is it easy to say that in Florida they have the better top guy?
I wouldn't say necessarily better top guy. I would say better top to bottom depth.
Okay.
Better next guy up. How about that? Like the top guy, so that Ekblad-Forsling pairing is really, really good. Ekblad's fantastic defenseman. I mean, your second pairing, typically Mikola and Montour. Montour is an excellent defenseman. And a guy, and maybe the reason I go with that is you have Ekman-Larsson, who played a lot of their top pairing minutes for a good chunk of the year with injuries, who's now anchoring your third pair. Along with Kulikov. Like I would just say there's just a little bit more depth there. So just a little bit if I have to pick one.
Yeah, so Cass was
He fired it.
because
I'm doing Oilers versus
okay.
over the
Yeah,
season.
I'd fire it too, and Cass laid out the reasons. But it's close. It's not a huge advantage, I don't think.
Well, is there any real big advantage? It's like both these, like we talked about in the conference finals, like all four teams are so good that they're all so tight that they're all deserving of winning a cup. That like
well, even the forward group, like that advantage for Edmonton is slight, and I just the nuclear McDavid Draisaitl is the only reason for it. Like, we could talk about Florida's depth too on the third line of with Lundell and Tarasenko on it. Like that's a really good third line. Their top two lines really, really good. Barkov, one of the most underrated players. Maybe not underrated now, but a fantastic centerman with Reinhart and Verhaeghe. Like Sam Bennett with Kachuk and Rodriguez. Like they're really good. They're really, really good. So it's tight. It's all tight, and they're two really good teams. There's no clear, wide open advantage in the forward or the D group.
Barkov's a younger, like he's Kopitar in the early when the Kings
He's
were
Kopitar 5 years ago.
Yeah. That's a whale of a player.
goaltending, the Oilers have the advantage in net. Hired or fired? Gager, I start with you.
I think they do. The way Stuart Skinner plays, it's technically, I think he's better than Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky's a little bit more movement in his game that I think that you can exploit with the way that the Edmonton Oilers are able to move the puck around and create different looks offensively than most. There's going to have to be a consistent traffic around the net, but yeah, right now I give the edge to Stuart Skinner. Hire it.
So this is one for me. It's like straight up neutral. It's so even. It's so difficult to have to pick one direction or the other. Man, all.
He was so close to saying
I
it.
know he's so close.
He
We almost
said
had
it.
him.
I'll hire it. I'll just leave it at that. I'll hire it. It's so close.
Okay, I'll just go through some numbers. Just say percentage-wise. These playoffs, Sergei Bobrovsky in the entire playoffs, a .908 save percentage through 17 games. Through 16 games, Stuart Skinner, an .897 save percentage. However, we always know what happened in Vancouver. Since he came back into the lineup against Vancouver, Stuart Skinner, since that reset, is a .919 save percentage. And if you look strictly at the conference finals for the two goalies, both playing in 6 games, Stuart Skinner has a 922 save percentage, while Sergei Bobrovsky, he had, stupid hockey reference. It's the spreadsheets. Here it is. 921 save percentage. So in the last round, 921 versus 922, so very close. And since that reset, Stuart Skinner has just been absolutely fantastic. Gage, I'm going back to you on this one. You got the veteran. You've got the guy who's been behind benches, has gone a long way, but has never won the cup in Paul Maurice behind the bench for the Panthers. The others have the rookie NHL head coach in Chris Knobloch, who has took down Pete DeBoers, has just made moves that have always seemingly worked. But which team has the edge at coaching going into this final series? Is it? So I'm not. I guess I got to do it for this. Hire or fire? The Oilers have the advantage behind the bench, and the Florida Panthers hire or fire.
I'm gonna fire it. Because just the experience factor with Maurice and the fact that he's been with this team a little bit longer.
Only one extra year.
Yeah, but going all the way to the finals again and seeing the way he speaks to his players. I'm a huge fan of Paul Maurice. I think he would be interesting. You know, there's some of those guys. Oh God, I wish I had him for a coach at one point, just to see how he operates behind the bench. When he's mic'd up, the things that he says. There's accountability with humor and he really loves his players. That really comes through with him. And not that Chris doesn't either. But I just think the fact that he might be able to draw something with his the way he eloquently puts his pregame speeches to give those Al Pacino type Any Given Sunday moments.
Cass.
I'm gonna fire it because I think it's dead even. I don't think there's an advantage either way. They've both done a fantastic job. They both have made right decisions over the course of the playoffs. So it's dead even. So I'm going to fire it because they don't have an advantage. It's even.
Chris Knoblauch, 12
should have done that with the goalies too.
12.
Jeez, now that I think about it.
12-6. Chris Knoblauch in his career now as the NHL head coach. Paul Maurice 66-64. With the Florida Panthers through two seasons, 25-13. This is his third time to the Stanley Cup Finals. To me, I would have hired it for Chris Knoblauch. Paul Maurice, he's like the pizza board to me. He'll get you close, but he just can't seem to win it. He can't. He's had a lot of great hockey teams, but he just can't seem to get it done. I don't know. There's something. I was completely wrong on Chris Knoblauch as a head coach for the Edmonton Oilers. I didn't think this was going to be a good hire at all. No. I didn't think that's what this team needed. I think they needed a guy to kick this team in the butt and be hard on them. The name I was still throwing out at the time was like a Gerard Gallant. They need to be kicked in the butt for a couple years, fire that guy, then bring another guy in. I didn't think much of Chris Knoblauch. I was completely wrong. And this guy just has his finger on this team, and he knows exactly what buttons to push and what to do with it. And if I had to pick a coach for this series, I'd take Chris Knoblauch right now over Paul Maurice personally.
Yeah, trying to think. I know I felt a little bit puzzled when I first heard who was brought in, but then once you heard him speak, and when he said that there was everyone was trying to do this, and he was laying out, and we just tried to simplify everything, and that to me was a real smart guy, and I think at times we've seen with coaches. And some Hall of Famers over the last few years, Matty, that, they've always gone back to the option of just, and even when, and not saying Chris doesn't go to that with and loading up the big two, but then he'll remove it at certain points, right? Like I've never coached the Oilers, never will, and I realize how attractive putting those guys together works when things aren't going well. But we've seen success with coaches over their tenure by keeping them apart and putting them together at times. But then it seems like once they just go to the full nuclear option, that's when you see, it's only a matter of time before they see the exit door. So once he said we're going to simplify things, I think I was in Chris's corner at that point. And from what I had heard, and I think it was even Tommy telling me this, that and this is what he had heard, that there was there were so many iPads, so much video, so much detailed to everything, and sometimes you just go play. Do this.
Too much thinking.
Do this, and go play. And that's, I think, what Chris. And then he built upon that and created the foundation that you see now, and that's the Oilers in the Stanley Cup Final.
We'll get to our predictions in a little bit here. This is Two Guys and a Goalie presented by GS Construction. Portions of this hour brought to you by Holinka Gretzky Cup 2024. It's coming to Edmonton this summer. Rogers Place will host the best U18 hockey players in the world from August 5th through the 10th. 7-game and 14-game ticket packs are now available. HolinkaGretzkyCup.ca or Ticketmaster.ca. A reminder, the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show 4:30 on Saturday, live from Hudson's Bourbon Street, as we'll get you set for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals as it gets going just after 6 o'clock. Out in Sunrise, I guess it is. And a reminder, the Elks game gets going at 2 o'clock, which means the Green and Gold kickoff show live from Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge with myself and Jay Milne will get going at 1 o'clock on Saturday. So full programming on Saturday right here on EST, getting you set for Oilers as well as Elks. Reminder, also Riverhawks playing at 1 o'clock. Do want to get to our bigger and hotter headlines. I just need to find the graphic for this one. There it is. It is brought to you by Big Mama's and Papa's Pizzeria. BMPP, a real pizzeria restaurant, not just a delivery pizza chain, serving authentic Italian cuisine with their made-in-house pizza dough, traditional tomato sauce, and fresh toppings. Each pizza is cooked to perfection, a pizza experience you've been waiting for. Visit them at 12848 97th Street. Order today, bmpp.ca, or call 587-746-0550. Actually, before I do that, Norman, a combine, a qualifier for the $100,000 hole-in-one. So keep your phone on tomorrow as we'll call someone who will be the 9th contestant with a possible chance to swing for $100,000 presented by Golf Town. We talked about this on the Hangout, so we'll get your thoughts again there, Gager, but we'll start with you on Cass. We're down to 6 names for Utah, for their hockey team. Which way do you think they should be going here? We got the Utah Blizzards, Utah Hockey Club, Utah Mammoth, Utah Outlaws, Utah Venom, and Utah Yeti. 520,000 fans voted in the first round. We're now on to a second round with the decisive vote. So Blizzards, Hockey Club, Mammoth, Outlaws, Venom, Yeti. If you're Ryan Smith, which way are you going?
I like either the Yeti or the Utah Hockey Club.
Oh,
like
that's
like
exactly
the
what I
UHC
said on the Hangout too.
Or the Yeti. Those are my two favorite. I'm not a huge fan of the other ones. I think the yeah.
What do you
Utah
like at a
Yeti
hockey club?
Just as a, I just like. I mean, maybe it's just I've been talking with you too much, and it's like the football side. I don't know, but there's just something about it. Like I don't mind it, and I think it depends on this name of the city or the state or the whatever you're doing. Like it has to fit and sound good. But it's like Utah Hockey Club sounds good, like UHC, like that.
Oh,
I like the sound of that.
Oh, UHC.
That looks.
Yeah,
And when you see that on the scoreboard,
UHC on the scoreboard, and it's like you could do. I just like I like the sound of it. You could do cool jerseys with the big U on it, or UHC. Like you could do a cool it has logo potential. You can do whatever you want with a mascot. You can have a Yeti as a mascot still, even going UHC. And yeah, so I really like that one. And then I like the Yeti too. I'm like, if you're going with a creature or an animal or something like that, that one gets me too. Like those are by far and away my two favorites. Like I would be very happy with either of those.
I never thought of it. UHC.
Yeah, those would be my two picks.
Sounds good.
That's
I also go with, like, to me, when you say you're a hockey club, especially if you're the first one to do it, there's an arrogance to it now. You're the hockey club.
Yeah.
Who are you guys? Who are the Oilers taking on tonight? They're
Club.
taking on the hockey club, and you know who they're talking about, something like that. There's the arrogance I love.
We're taking on UHC,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah,
that does
like it.
if Edmonton went to hockey, EHC, it's just not as good.
UHC, yeah.
No.
UHC, that's awesome.
It has to be the right. Like I said, the name in front has to be right. Like. It couldn't be like the Calgary Hockey Club or the Vancouver Hockey Club, like that. The Toronto, you could do
THC.
Like you could do THC.
That works perfectly.
Sponsorship deals coming now.
Sorry. Yeah, all kinds of sponsoring. No, but like the Toronto Hockey Club, like you could like that sounds all right. Maybe it's just the length of the name too. It's like it has to be like a shorter. Like it couldn't be like the
well, the New York Hockey Club,
yeah.
I like NYHC. It works.
If I'm the Toronto,
well, you couldn't have like Salt Lake City Hockey Club, like
SLHC.
That wouldn't work. Yeah, it wouldn't work. I don't know.
So the least would have to be in the first round, obviously. But like I'm looking at 420 games, and just having THC. with the Leaf? With the Leaf?
Oh my God.
Oh my God, man. Just the marketability of that alone. Hey, I'm copyrighting this. If there's any patent lawyers, I want this now.
When the second NHL team comes to Toronto, THC, baby. THC.
With the Leaf. Oh my God, that would be perfect. He's changed my mind a little bit, Cass. I hate to say it because I
convinced him. Now he's convincing you. We just all have to go convince one other person.
I was
and we can do this.
Yeah, I was Mammoth and Yeti, but I think and it also because the team is on the up and up. If they were still in the gutter, I think they're going to be good soon, sooner rather than later with some of that young talent. So the fact that UHC now with that young team, I'm going to put that ahead and then Yeti second.
Quickly qualifying for the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival, July 2nd, the 12th through the 14th, Kingsman Park, Alley Cat, the official beer of the Great Outdoors Comedy Fest here in Edmonton, featuring the 6 o'clock lager. If you want to get in on that draw, just text us right now, UHC. Text us UHC, and you'll go into a draw for that VIP table of 4 to see Kevin Hart on July 13th. Okay, we only got a couple more minutes left. It's the final 2 guys and a goalie before Saturday when the Oilers will take to the ice against the Panthers in Game 1 as the 2 teams look for the Stanley Cup. Panthers would be the first in their franchise history. For the Edmonton Oilers, it would be their 6th. Who wants to go first on how they think the series will progress and their prediction? Gager, I'll start with you.
I'm going to it's a Panthers win.
On Game 1 or the series?
Game 1.
I'm going series.
Series.
Let's predict the series here.
I thought we already did that.
When? We were just saying who had the edge, but we weren't saying who's going to win this series.
I think I said I think Oilers in 6. This is what I originally thought. That's what I'm going
What
with.
gives them the advantage?
I just think they'll figure things out quick. How to play against the Panthers, and I can't. Looking at the superstars, it's hard not to bet against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. I think their mindset is right. There's some playful exuberance when you hear them speak right now. It's not like they're businesslike, but there is also kind of embracing the moment a little bit. So I think they're perfectly set up to do something special.
But you think Game 1 loss?
Yes, because I think just the fact that the Panthers have been there before, as recently as last year, that sour taste in their mouth, and the Oilers are going into uncharted territory. But again, I think they figure it out quick.
Cass, I'll expand this. Game 1 prediction as well as series prediction. How do you see this all playing out?
Okay. Game 1, I think Edmonton wins, so I'll flip that. I think it's a split. I think Florida probably wins Game 2. I think you go split. This is going to 7, and I'm taking Edmonton in 7. And Connor McDavid, I think, is the difference. And my second factor, which I think, and we didn't talk about this, and we don't have enough time, but what I expect Darnell Nurse, with the amount that he hates Tkachuk and that he hates Bennett, and I think his emotion is higher, and I think we see Darnell Nurse have a fantastic series where, he had a good finish to last series, but didn't really have a good playoffs up until that point. I think he's going to be a huge X factor in this series, but I am not going against Connor McDavid in the Stanley Cup Final. Oilers and 7.
Well, no matter what, it's Darnell Nurse going to be one of the biggest talking points, no matter how this series ends. That if they don't go well, he probably didn't play as well, but if they will go win, he's played like he did the last couple of games against the Stars.
I don't think so. I think you're going to see Darnell Nurse at his best. With the kind of how it looks, there's not the only guy that we really know is that's hurting is Evander Kane. I think both teams are relatively healthy, I think, going into this series. So it's going to be I think that's the most interesting thing. Last year, Florida completely banged up, right? Now you're going to see a Florida team that's way more healthy than they were last year, and I think the Oilers are the same.
The official prediction will come for me on I got one more day on the station tomorrow, but I said this back in the Vancouver series. I said it last series. I'll stick with it. I always felt that if the Oilers got to a Cup final, there's nothing stopping Connor and Leon from getting
tough to
the ring.
bet against them.
That legacy now comes fully into their mind. Obviously, they're always wanting to win. Obviously, they're always maybe focused a little bit on legacy. But I think now, knowing that it's only 4 away, that's all it is. 4 away, and you get that trophy, you get that ring, and you put yourself not just in NHL history with that ring, but in Oiler franchise history, which is a pretty prestigious history. They're going to go all out when it comes to going to get this.
Canadian history. It's
look, Crosby's great, but not only if you're McDavid, you get that ring, but you also got it in a Canadian franchise. But it's also a franchise. It's not like it's the Flames or the Canucks or the Jets or the Sens. It's one of, like, the Oilers are in that other conversation with the Leafs and the Habs.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of, like, who won the previous cups for this franchise. And now you're that next group to win a cup potentially with this franchise. It is a pretty iconic franchise now in that, even though there's been a lot of bad years. But because of how good it was at one point, this is in that top echelon. And you move up, I think you tie someone when it comes to Stanley Cup rings, or do you pass someone? I'll have to go look at that. But it's going to be fun. That is Saturday in the city. It's going to be wild. This whole weekend's going to be wild. Riverhawks in town, Elks, Stingers, and the Oilers beginning their run to the Stanley Cup Final. Cass, enjoy the boys' trip and the camping trip, and we'll look forward to hearing you on the pregame show with Trev and Sean Bell. Gager, thanks for coming in. Thanks to everyone for tuning in to Two Guys and a Goalie, presented by GS Construction. Nielsen Show replay coming up next on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, as well as EdmontonSportsTalk.com. And the live programming back tomorrow. One final full day of programming before we get things going on Saturday. On behalf of Cass, Gager, I'm Iwanyk. Thanks for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of your day here on a windy Edmonton, a windy Thursday, Edmonton. Have a good one.